And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Today we're looking at a game called Expedite. It has kind of a cool looking box. It looks like, well, a box, a crate. Expedite is a game in which you are basically forming routes across the world, delivering goods from one place to another, but you're not actually delivering goods, you're just making routes. You're controlling different cities across the board, and then using a world trade card to get points from connecting from point A to point B. Now this might seem familiar to you, and it's going to look even a little bit more familiar once I show you how to play the game. So let's do it. Expedite has a bunch of cities all over the board, and the cities have a value of 1 to 3. This shows, I guess, how useful that hub, that airport is, because that's what these stand for, different hubs. As the game goes by, players are going to be placing these chips, and these chips aren't really the best of quality. They're the old Axis and Allies mini poker chips, but they work, and so each player has their own color. Each player is going to pick a starting airport. They put their airplane in. That airport is theirs forever for the rest of the game, and they'll take another plane to put it down here, and this is to keep track of your score. Now, players are going to have a handful of cards from the Expedite deck, and these cards are multiple colors, and they will match the colors of the hubs on the board, although there is also wild cards, and they're also basically as build-a-free hub cards. These are extremely powerful cards. Now, on a player's turn, they have a couple options. They can draw these two face-up cards here and add them to their hand. There's no hand limit. Or if they don't like the two cards that are face-up, they can draw the top 3 cards from the deck and add those cards to their hand instead. So that's one of the things you can do on your turn. Another thing you can do on your turn is take over one of these hubs. So to take over London, for example, I would need to get rid of 3 white cards from my hand. So I look and I have a white, and here's a wild, and another white. So I could discard these 3 cards, and then I can place a chip of my color in London. Now London is now my city. If someone else wants to take London from me, they are going to need to pay 6. And each of these different colors is a different shape, and it tells you the values of each shape, so you don't have to keep moving the chip to look at it. But that's 3, so if someone else wanted to take over that hub, they would have to pay 6, and they'd put it on top of that. And if someone else wanted to do it, it'd be 9, and then 12. The hubs that are 1 are much cheaper. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as the game progresses, there's going to be different hubs that are all over the board. Now at the beginning of the game, each player is going to have different hubs as the game goes by, but they're also going to have different world trade cards. These cards are going to show different routes that you can complete and how many points you get for completing that route. When it's your turn, you can say, I'm going to complete a route, and the way to do that is by playing the card, and you must have the starting, it tells you where to start. For example, this one here says start in Sydney. So let's say I'm the red player. I look, and yes, I have a hub in Sydney. That's the only place I need to have a hub, is in the starting position. After that, I mean, it doesn't even have to be my airplane. It could have been, my regular hub, and that would have been fine too. As long as I control the starting hub, everything else doesn't matter. Now, I have to connect Sydney all the way over to Santiago. So I look, is there a path? Bam, 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 bam. No, there's not a path, so I would have to wait till there was a plane there, a hub there. Okay, so now there is a path all the way to Santiago from Sydney. Now, this is going to give me 21 points, but I have to subtract points for each other hub of another player that's there. So going to this hub in Perth, if you take a look, you can see that traveling from Sydney to Perth gives 2 points to the white player. And then I don't have to worry about the next cities because those are mine. But then when I travel across the Atlantic Ocean here to Rio de Janeiro, that's going to get 5 points to the blue player, and then another point to the blue player for Buenos Aires, and then finally to Santiago. So I give 6 points to blue, and white gets 2 points. So that's a total of 8 points. But this was worth 21 points, so I still get 13 of those points. So then down here, we will move the scores accordingly. Once you use one of these world trade cards, you discard and get another one. And an action you can take in your turn is going to be discarding one of the world trade cards in your hand and drawing a new one. So if you don't like the ones that you have. You will keep doing that till you get to a certain point total, 100. You can see the big 100 here. The first person to 100 is the winner of the game. Expedite is a game in which you're connecting routes. Does it sound familiar, parts of it? It might. Now, it really does sound a lot like Ticket to Ride, especially since you draw face-up cards or you draw face down, that you need certain cards. Here you're not building routes between cities, but you're doing hubs, and then you basically have a ticket and connect them. But you can see there's some differences. There's differences in the fact that you can use other people's things to complete a route, giving them points. The biggest difference, though, is by far the confrontation aspect of this game is very high. And some Euro gamers I played it with did not like it because there was this constant taking over someone else's hub. In fact, I think the best strategy of the game that I've discovered so far is to take the 3-point hub, the ones that cost 3, as quickly as possible because they are harder to steal. Because you need 6 then to take over. In fact, taking over one with 6 cards is a really good idea because the next person has to do 9. While the 1 hubs, they go up in multiples of 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're a lot easier for people to steal. Where you put your starting airplane, usually you're just looking at your cards, you know, and you look at your 3 original destination cards and see where you want to put those. But there's a lot of back and forth as you take over each other's hubs, and so that gives the game a very different feel than Ticket to Ride. I'm not sure I'm convinced on the draw the 2 face up as opposed to the 3 face down. That sounds good in theory, but most games I played there's really long stretches because most people, that extra card is just that important. And very rarely will they draw the face down cards. Now, one of the cards I didn't mention is this purple card here that, well, I suppose I have one of them somewhere. These purple cards basically let you build a hub anywhere you want. So this one card is worth 20, 30 color of the same color. It's a really powerful card. And so, on one hand, I can see that because if someone has 16, you know, if a hub costs 16, what are you going to do about it? And someone plays one of these. So that's neat because you can come back with these cards, but they're really annoying when another player plays them after you've collected all these cards. These cards are extremely powerful. I would almost even house rule that if these cards are face up and you take it, that's the only card you get, because it's that useful. And that's why people very rarely will take the 2 face-up cards, because the chance of getting one of these is so useful, or you might get wild. So why take those face-up cards? So I almost wish there was a way to mitigate that. That seems like a small problem with the game. Other than that, and the quality of the game is okay, but it is interesting. It's not just a Ticket to Ride clone. I did enjoy it. I especially liked the fighting over the cities on the board, and I thought it was interesting how you can control a hub somewhere in the middle of the board, or hubs all over the place, and other people are going through them, and you can score points. And I like games where you can try to hang on other people's coattails, and so this is a good one. Again, it's a confrontational Euro game, slightly underdeveloped in my opinion, but it's still good. I think maybe some house rules. Certainly one that you want to try before you play it. Expedite.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!
That's right. Shut it.
There. There.